Today, let's talk about a true footballing genius, a player who is just as unorthodox as he was unstoppable, the one and only legendary Brazilian, Rivaldo. And right away, we have to start with the central puzzle of his incredible story. I mean, how does a boy born into crushing poverty, with the physical condition that most people would see as a huge disadvantage, somehow rise up to become the undisputed best player in the world? Well, let's break down that impossible journey. This is the story of Rivaldo. To understand the man, you have to understand where he came from. Our story begins in one of the poorest parts of Brazil, where a future legend was being forged in the absolute toughest of circumstances. You know, Rivaldo's childhood wasn't just difficult, it was a daily battle. He grew up in a favela, his family struggling with extreme poverty. And then tragedy struck when he lost his father in an accident. Really, his only escape, his only bit of hope, was football. Played on these dusty, uneven patches of ground that became his very first training academy. And here's where it gets interesting. What should have been a major setback actually became his secret weapon. See, a bone condition he had as a kid gave him this unique, knock-kneed way of running. For defenders trying to tackle him, it was a total nightmare. His movements were so deceptive, so completely unpredictable. It was weird, for sure, but it was unstoppable. And, a talent like that, it just couldn't be kept a secret in Brazil for long. It was only a matter of time before he took that unique style to the very top of the game in Europe. His rise was, it was meteoric. After making a name for himself and winning the Brazilian league with Palmeiras in '94, he made the big jump to Europe. One single brilliant season at Deportivo was all it took. The Giants, FC Barcelona, came calling in 1997. Think about that. In just 3 years, he went from Brazil to the absolute pinnacle of world football. And it was at Barcelona's legendary stadium, the Camp Nou, that Rivaldo went from being a rising star to a true global phenomenon. By 1999, his genius was undeniable. The entire world recognized it. He was officially voted the FIFA World Player of the Year. He was on top of the mountain. And in that very same year, he also picked up the Ballon d'Or, which is European football's most coveted individual prize. So in 1999, there was just no debate. Rivaldo was, without a doubt, the best footballer on the entire planet. But this individual brilliance wasn't just for show. It translated directly into team success, as he drove Barcelona to back-to-back La Liga titles, cementing his place as a true club legend. But if you had to pick just one moment that perfectly sums up his time at Barcelona, well, it would have to be the one described as one of the most incredible individual performances anyone has ever seen. Okay, picture this. It's the final day of the season. Barcelona needs a win against Valencia to qualify for the Champions League. And Rivaldo, he delivers a hat trick for the ages. The winning goal in the very last minute was a mind-bending overhead kick from the edge of the box. It was audacious, technically perfect, and it was pure, uncut Rivaldo. But for any Brazilian superstar, the ultimate prize isn't one in a club jersey. It's one wearing that famous yellow shirt. So let's look at how he conquered the world with his national team. His growth on the world stage was just incredible to watch. In '98, he was a key player on a team that got all the way to the final. But just 4 years later, in 2002, he was the team's creative engine, the absolute driving force of a side that was destined for glory. In 2002, he was part of something truly special, one of the most feared attacking groups in history. Alongside Ronaldo and a young Ronaldinho, they were known as the 3 Rs. Their mix of skill, raw power, and just pure improvisation was absolutely devastating. Now, his 2002 World Cup was the stuff of legend. I mean, he scored in 5 straight games as Brazil went on to lift the trophy. But we also have to mention it wasn't perfect. There was a controversial moment, a simulation against Turkey, that left a bit of a mark on an otherwise brilliant tournament. It really showed that other side of his fierce, competitive nature. So after reaching the absolute peak of the sport, Rivaldo's pure love for the game sent him on this unique global journey, building a legacy that went way beyond his peak years at the top. I mean, after Barcelona, he went to Italy and won the Champions League with AC Milan. He won titles in Greece. And then he made these fascinating moves to places like Uzbekistan and even Angola. It really just showed how much he loved to play, long after he had anything left to prove to anyone. So what made him so special? What was in the Rivaldo playbook? Well, it all started with a left foot that could just bend the ball and the game itself to his will. He combined that with insane close control, a football brain that saw passes nobody else could even imagine, and the versatility to be a killer from literally anywhere on the attack. And really, that brings us right back to where we started. More than all the goals, the trophies, the incredible highlights, Rivaldo's story is one of unbelievable resilience. He is a symbol of someone who overcame every single obstacle you could throw at him to get to the very top. Which leaves us with one final thought. In today's game, which is so structured, so tactical, is there even room for a pure individual artist like Rivaldo anymore? A player who just runs on instinct and raw, unpredictable genius? It's definitely a question worth thinking about.